Meanwhile, in Jununa's residence, while she was sitting and drinking her cup of tea, her phone suddenly rang with a short, sharp tone. She picked it up, demanding to know why they were calling her, since she knew it was her day off. She claimed to be busy, even though she was just relaxing. However, she was surprised to hear bad news from Li Qingyan, who said they were in a bit of trouble and needed backup to rescue them. While scolding him for not following her orders, she always reminded him not to provoke anything he couldn't defeat. She realized she had no choice but to go, even though they had ruined her rare vacation and a beautiful morning of relaxation. She said she would go there, especially since she was close to the area, and began preparing by transforming into her battle mode beast. Once fully transformed, Juna hurried to the scene, worried and hoping to get there in time. Meanwhile, a giant, ugly serpent was searching for them there. The two of them were panicking because it seemed the serpent had found them. They were sweating, thinking their lives were about to end. Li, in a desperate situation with no choice, had to accept that he could not defeat the serpent alone. He ordered him to summon his beast, our cute iongqi, to fight the ugly serpent. However, our boy was so scared that he couldn't move his hand. But after a moment of clarity, he snapped back to his senses and started to summon his beast by pointing his finger at his bracelet to channel his energy. To everyone's surprise, the one that appeared was our cute little cat. So both our boy and Li were surprised and a little bit confused. Li was bewildered as to why it was just a little cat licking itself, since he had heard that iongqi was a vicious beast. Our boy didn't understand why it was his little cat who came out, and neither did Li, who didn't know that our boy actually had two of the strongest beasts. Embarrassed by what Li said to him, he asked his little cat to stop licking itself and show its skills, to show how powerful it was against the ugly snake, and to prove to Li that he was powerful. But instead attacking those ugly serpents, our little cat approached him and rubbed its head against his shoes. The two of them were shocked by its actions. Meanwhile, the ugly serpent seemed to be watching them with an intense, red-eyed stare. As they turned around, they realized they hadn't expected to face such a threat so soon. With sweat dripping from their faces, Li quickly fled, making excuses to our boy that he would act as bait. In truth, he was simply scared. Meanwhile, our boy was left there, watching as the ugly serpent prepared to attack and devour him. Thankfully, our Juna appeared in the sky, descending with a dramatic pose that suggested she was ready to take down the serpent. As she landed on the head of the ugly serpent, it slammed into the ground, making the snake's body like a trampoline. As Juna jumped and performed a backflip, her graceful, smooth movements so impressive that our boy was in awe and amazed, and even our little cat seems amazed too. As Juna landed successfully, these two troublemakers didn't expect to see her transform so spectacularly, merging with her beast. Suddenly, the ugly serpent attacked again, causing a massive explosion and destruction. After the unexpected attack, Juna asked if they were okay. Li seemed fine. He seems act quickly to avoid the attack by using his beast to grab him in the air. He explained that his beast had regained consciousness at the right moment, allowing him to escape. However, our boy was nowhere to be seen, and they wondered if Xiang had avoided the attack. To their surprise, the ugly serpent floated up out of nowhere, revealing our boy, who had kicked it up into the air. He had merged with our little cat, and with a powerful blow, he delivered a massive impact to the serpent. While the two were stunned to see him fighting the serpent alone, Li, confused, commented to our Juna, whom he addressed as his teacher, about how Xiang looks resembled hers. Juna replied that she also didn't know, but one thing she's sure that our boy had actually learned it advanced and without any guidance. She says it was called a demon-controlling transformation techniques. While our boy did not expect it too, that he suddenly transformed and merged with his little beast cat. In a state of confusion, he wondered how it was possible and asked himself on how it happened. A panel then explained the conditions for triggering this transformation. A demon master who is cultivated to a certain level can randomly unlock the skill. Once it is triggered, it is no longer random and can be used at any time. Moreover, their beast can merge into their master's body if it wishes. But if the owner's body does not have enough spiritual energy, it can cause an explosion and bloodlust. As the explanation continued, our boy was ongoing fighting the ugly serpent snake. He hit the snake in the face, and it seemed the creature sensed something was wrong and started to sweat. While beating it, our boy mocked the ugly serpent, making the other ugly snake angry. Juna could not believe her eyes, seeing our boy facing the serpent alone and fighting it fiercely. As he kicked and hit them, he told to those ugly serpent snakes that now, with his newfound endless power, he was no longer afraid of them. He promised they would be the ones to run now. While our boy bullied and beaten those ugly serpent snakes, Lee and Juna were chatting on the side, watching him. Lee commented and asked Juna if our boy always had that kind of personality. Juna replied that it was a side effect of his first transformation, and he seemed a bit exaggerated in using his new power. She sighed and pitied the ugly serpents for finding such an idiotic and troublesome opponent. After receiving many hits and beatings from our boy, the ugly serpent reverted to its true form and asked him to stop, saying it would surrender. Our boy paused for a moment, but the snake pleaded with him to stop hitting it and even began to cry in fear. However, our boy wasn't convinced by its act and decided to beat it even harder, determined not to fall for its tricks. Thankfully, Lee stopped him from bullying the snaky guy, telling him he was being too harsh and had made the guy cry. While Lee seemed to be teasing and annoying him, our boy sarcastically demanded to know why Lee was defending the snaky guy now, especially since they had been chasing him earlier. He argued that it was fair to question this change of heart. Juna interrupted their argument and told the snaky guy to stop pretending. She said she didn't believe him either and wasn't falling for his tricks. She accused him of causing the deaths of many people by drowning, saying they knew he was responsible. Hearing this, the snaky guy looked at her with killing intent and said, "The people deserved it." He then began to tell his backstory. More than 1,000 years ago, Yongqi was a small coastal town, and Xiangyao had been living under the sea near it. As time passed, Yongqi grew into a city, and Xiangyao had been guarding the seabed, with both sides living in peace for thousands of years. But one day, a smelter secretly discharged wastewater into the sea for convenience. Before leaving, Xiangyao finally surfaced to confront the culprit of the environmental damage. He secretly swore that he would make them pay for what they had done, and said he had waited a long time for that moment. When the factory boss passed by, his chance to get revenge was come, and he almost get killed it. But because of them, it messed up. So Xiangyao, the snaky guy, attacked them in anger, saying that because of them, he had not been able to let go of his vengeance. As he was telling this, Juna stopped him by throwing her silky blue rope, that tying him there, and that cause of the snaky guy fall into the ground, snapped out. After that, she then told the two troublemakers that she would take the snaky guy into their association's custody. And then, she glared at Lee with an intensely serious look and asked why he had acted on his own. As punishment, she deducted his bonus for the mission and sealed his spiritual power for 7 days. Hearing this, Lee was shocked and froze there. Also, she then announced that all the credit and bonus for capturing the snaky guy would go to our boy. Upon hearing this, his eyes lit up like gold, and he bowed to her, telling her to walk slowly and be careful on her way back. It seems our boy is gentleman, but with a twist money, but anyway. Meanwhile, Lee stood to the side, feeling hopeless. Then our Juna walked away, and added that if Lee acted on his own again, she would revoke his qualifications as a demon master. After saying this, she left. Our boy then suddenly realized why they had been managing the seawater every year, exclaiming that it turned out there was a snaky guy causing problems. At this, Lee, standing beside him, thought something sinister. He called out to our boy with an evil smile spreading across his face. So, this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Don't forget to leave your comments below. Your opinions are valuable. Goodbye, and see you in the next chapter.